Okay, so welcome. We're here with Pip Foulsham of Pip Foulsham HR, but also Cloud5 Creative, because you are a member in two of our groups, aren't you? So you're in Luton as our HR consultant and you're in Woburn Salford as our web design specialist. And so my name's Kate Cherry. I'm the Regional Director of the Athena Network in Bedfordshire and the St Albans area. And we're here today to learn a little bit about Pip and her business, her HR business. And what we call this is a spotlight interview, where we find out a bit more about a member, their views on how they set up their business, a bit about networking and what's next for them. But also at the moment, because Pip specialises in HR, I think it'd be handy to hear a little bit about the kinds of things she's dealing with at the moment and in the current landscape. So welcome, Pip.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Tell me a bit more about how you came to do what you do. How did you come into HR and what is it that you do?
God, that's a long story, many moons ago. So I did a very vocational degree, really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I happened to be working in retail for Boots the Chemist at the time, more as a Saturday and holiday job. And actually my store manager at the time when I left uni kind of said, what do you want to do? And I was a bit, I don't really know, I just want to work for a while. And he said, have you thought of personnel, as it was called then? And I said, yeah, great, what is it? And he put me in touch with the personnel person who looked after the stores, got chatting to her. She gave me a very brief overview. I don't think I really understood what personnel or HR was at that point, but I then very fortunately got a secondment as a trainee personnel advisor at the time in Boots. Retail is an interesting environment as a learning ground. You get everything. So I had, fights, arguments, recruitment, everything. And then did that for a year and then kind of moved into public sector and so HR is really all I've ever done since I graduated. And yeah, it's weird. It's been the right fit and I've never got bored of it. I love it because it's always different. It's always changing. Employment law is always changing. People are different, so no two situations are exactly the same. So whilst you've got the framework of the procedure, how you apply it differs slightly every time. And you're kind of solving problems for businesses, which I've learned that's what I love doing. I'm a problem solver. So yeah, I worked for 20 years for other people and then decided I might try going on my own as a freelancer. And I've done that for a year now. And the work's the work, it's not hugely different in terms of what I'm doing on a daily basis, but I'm actually getting to work with lots of different kinds of businesses. And that's the interesting thing, is understanding how the HR differs depending on what stage of your business you're at. So yeah, that's kind of a whistle-stop tour of me.
And I guess as a freelancer, you get to have those different perspectives. We were just chatting just now and you were saying one of your clients is charity, one is more public service, and then you've got smaller businesses that you work with as well. So that, I guess, provides you a lot of variety to use all your skills.
Yeah, the technology and software businesses that I'm working with are they're more startup kind of businesses. So that for them, the HR work is more about, making sure the right policies and procedures are in place for their business and fit for the future as they grow. Obviously dealing with any HR issues they get, but they tend to get fewer because the business is smaller and they nip things in the bud quicker. Whereas when you work with a large charity of 1,200 people, the policies are in place, but actually what you're dealing with is more actually project work. So, introducing new HR systems and much larger scale HR work. And that probably doesn't sound like HR work, but that is an HR project in itself. How do we transfer all of the current data we've got onto a new system? And with the NHS, obviously it's public sector. So culturally, that's very different to, say, a software company. Policies and procedures, again, are there, but culturally, it's a different mindset when you work in the public sector, I think. So you sort of have to navigate how you apply HR according to the culture and the stage of the business and where they're at. And that's the beauty for me, as I sort of go in as a bit of an external advisor and figure out where they're at and what they need for the long term and how to help them grow and move on for the future.
And in terms of the current environment and what's going on at the moment and the situations people are finding themselves in, what are the top things you're dealing with at the moment? I'm guessing we can guess most of them.
The C word, yes, the nice C word. Well, nice depending on your viewpoint. So yes, coronavirus is the big thing that I'm involved in at the moment, and how that's impacting. And we said earlier that affects everybody individually differently, depending on their situation, but every business differently. So for the charity I work for, their employees are actually key workers. Same with the NHS. So the challenge there actually is more, how do we make sure that we keep as many people at work as possible, because we need to provide their services. They are key workers. So it's more about how do we make sure that we don't have reduced staffing levels, and that the services suffer, which is a slightly different challenge to other businesses where they may not have enough work to provide for their employees and they may be furloughing people. So again, depends on the kind of business you are and the climate you're operating in as to how that will affect you. So yeah, the top things probably are pay, because obviously everybody wants to understand, what do I get paid depending on what's happening, whether I'm self-isolating or if I just can't come into work because maybe I've got childcare issues, something like that. Furloughing is a massive subject which I could talk about for hours, but that was launched with not a lot of guidance around it from an HR perspective. So that meant that there's been a lot of interpretation. Luckily, I'm in a few forums and groups, and that's meant that as a community, the HR community has kind of figured out how we're all applying it, because the government launched it without precise guidance, and then more guidance has come out since. And that's the challenge, is something will get launched and then it will get updated, and it will then change in terms of how you apply it. So it's this constantly shifting thing, which you just have to try and stay as up to date as you can, to deal with the questions that you get asked. And in HR, in any period of change, you tend to be the department that knows everything. Oh, we'll go and ask HR that. HR will know. And actually, with coronavirus, normally in organisational change, we probably do, and we're the right people to ask. But obviously with this, we're just as much in the dark as everybody else. So we're having to kind of figure it out at the same time as other people, and other people who are asking the questions. So it's been, in some ways, it's been really interesting as a learning curve, because there's just been so much to get your head round. But in some ways, it's also, there's a huge amount of information to get your head round, which is the challenge.
And what would you recommend a small business listening to this and thinking, I actually need that help, I need to find out what I should be doing? Because now I'm finding, maybe the first month was fine, and now it's, now I'm having difficulties. I need to do something. What would you recommend they do?
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends what stage you're at. I think if you feel confident to look at the gov.uk website and interpret what's there, there is loads of guidance out there. And if you're confident to go and look and interpret that yourself, then that's great. But what I would say is there's a huge amount of guidance out there, and you might need some help interpreting that. And obviously, I would say it would be good to have someone like me to help you sort of navigate that in terms of how it applies to your business, because it's guidance, it is written in a very general way. And the trick then is, okay, what does that mean for my business, and what does that mean, and what can I and can't I use of this guidance in terms of, for example, furloughing. Can I access the furloughing scheme or not? Am I eligible? With statutory sick pay, organisations with fewer than 250 employees can actually get a refund on the SSP, but organisations with more than 250 employees can't. So there's little rules like that in the guidance that someone like me, I know that off the top of my head, and I can help navigate whether it applies to you, and also how you would get any kind of refund.
Understand. Oh, perfect timing. You had a dog interrupt, and I had a person interrupt.
Here. My colleague to stop that. Sorry. This is real life. Lockdown real life.
Lockdown life. My son was probably coming to ask what lunch is.
Yeah, I think my husband was just starting to get all the lunch things out.
So, you're a member in 2 Athena groups. Why did you join Athena, and what are you enjoying about it specifically now?
Well, I think you call me one of your Athena raving fans. I do love Athena. So I went freelance around February time 2019. I attended a couple of networking things local to me, and just they didn't feel quite what I was hoping networking would be. One of them was at 7:30 in the morning, which just isn't a sociable time to be networking for me. I'm not with it enough at 7:30 in the morning. And I think I told you at the time, I saw someone put a recommendation about Athena on LinkedIn. Sort of thought they weren't one of my connections, it was someone connected with someone that I was connected with. And so I went to find out more about it, and obviously found the group, found you. And the great thing is you can go along as a visitor, so went along to kind of find out what it was about. And it just was like, yes, this is what I expected networking to be, was supportive people making connections to help each other, but also to make relationships for the long term. And that's very much how I've always approached networking. It's not about what can I sell you, it's about actually that's a really good person to know, because actually I'll think of them in the future. And I think because my husband's self-employed, I've always had that mentality about, you know, how do we refer friends of ours, guitar teachers and fitness instructors and dance academies and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it just felt like the right fit for me. So I've definitely got a lot out of it. I spent a year just attending my meetings, and then I didn't actually get the chance to visit any other groups until January time, when I started to come out when we were out of lockdown. Started to visit some other groups and really started to see the benefit of the membership then, because for me it was actually about, I'm not just going to my meeting every month, I'm actually getting access to all these other people's networks, which I know is what you're told, but actually until you do it, you kind of don't realise that is the benefit. Visited Woburn Group and thought, wow, they were a lot bigger than my sort of home group, but a really lovely established group, really lovely group of people. And I just thought, actually, that would be a great thing for my husband's business, which is web design. So renewed my membership, which was not even a question, because I was always going to do that. And kind of said to my husband, actually, it'd be really good if I went along to represent your business. So decided to buy a second membership. So that probably speaks for why I love it, because it works. I've met some great people, and I like being a part of it. I like being a part of what it stands for, and I like the way that the referral and recommending process works. There's always someone in the network that you can think of. I'm forever tagging people on Facebook because I'm like, oh, actually, I met this person that would be great for that. And there's some natural connections, but also some other connections that you don't necessarily feel are natural, but actually then you think, oh, I could refer that person for that because I met them once and just need to find the membership list and find their name, but I met that specific person that I can refer on. So yeah, I think it's great. And it just, the meetings feel the same wherever you go. You know what you're getting, you know what to expect. And it's just really interesting finding out.
Now you can go anywhere for free.
Yes, I've been making the most of Pass Plus. So I think I've been to, and I have to try and remember, I've been to Buckinghamshire, some other groups in Bedfordshire. I went to North London. Yesterday I went to Preston, and I'm booking to go to Brighton in May. And I would never have driven to some of those places because geographically it would have been a day for me to go there and come back. I would have probably gone to the ones on the fringes of my region, but I wouldn't necessarily have done that. And as you know, my business can operate virtually. I can look after clients anywhere in the country, probably abroad as well, but anywhere in the UK specifically. So it's really beneficial for me. All of a sudden, I'm getting the chance to attend all these other places, which is opening up the possibility of getting more clients for my business. So yeah, I've been trying to make the most of it alongside busy work. I've been trying to make sure I do 2 or 3 of those a month. Not having to travel to them, you know, you're hopping on a Zoom call, it's really easy. So I'd recommend, if you are an Athena member, get out there and do it because it's great. And all the groups are lovely. I've met some really, really nice people and some really good links for my business. I'll definitely, you know, I've had one-to-ones them already and I'll be using for the future.
Talking of which, links for your business, what would be a good connection for you right now for someone watching?
So for me, it's really difficult. I think I said earlier, I can work with any size of business because I've worked with large and small businesses in my career, but I don't like just saying anyone because that doesn't really help. So for me, I guess at the moment, particularly, it's businesses that might have pivoted and are responding to the current situation in a different way. So for example, there's a company in Cambridge that were offering services to a workplace, and they're now offering that to home consumers. And at the end of this, I'm assuming their home consumer business will continue alongside the workplace business. So their business will have grown, and their business probably will have grown to a point where they might actually need to look at the structure of it. And those are the kinds of people that I would like to kind of get my hands on, if you like, from an HR perspective, because the growing business, they're probably, I don't know, they might be at 30 or 40 employees. I don't want to be too specific, but that kind of size of business, you know, they're starting to get a big enough team where you might be introducing some line management responsibilities, and that population of people might start to need some support around leading and managing people, and also dealing with people issues that do come up. And also for me, it's about the positive side, you know, making sure you've got procedures in place about developing your people for the longer term, making them want to stay with you, engaging your staff. I'm about employee engagement and retention. They're my two words, because I think if you get that stuff right, you'll be dealing much less with the problems, if you like, the grievances, performance issues, that kind of thing, because you'll have an engaged team, and you won't be need to be navigating the difficult stuff. So yeah, I think that's
making notes. Brilliant. And so what's next for you? A lot of people have said their plans have been put on hold, but actually this has also provided a lengthy period of time that people can really knuckle down and look at what it was they were going to do in 2020 and come out the other side of this in a different position. Is there anything in particular you're working on that's coming up?
I think I've been so in coronavirus, it's been quite hard in terms of planning what's next. I would like to get a broader spectrum of businesses that I'm supporting, and I'd like to be doing more of the kind of organisational development, engagement side of things, if I can, for businesses. Obviously it's going to be interesting to see how we all come out of this, and what state businesses are in, and I think for me there'll be a key role for people like me in that, because I think there'll be a lot of questions for business owners about what do I do now. So I guess for me, immediately at the end of all of this, that's where I'm at. And then long term, I don't know. I'm not one of these people that has a specific, I'm aiming for this in 5 years or anything. I don't structure things like that. I tend to enjoy what I'm doing. But ultimately, you know, if my business grew to the point where I was employing other people, that would be fantastic. That would be lovely. But I'm not aggressively working towards that, if you like. So for me, it's about getting a group of clients that I want to work with and that want to work with me, and that I can see that I'm making a difference to their business.
Yeah. And a broad spectrum as well, and looking at the different types of customers you've got on your portfolio, I guess.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Pip, for your time.
Thank you.
And so if anyone wants to contact Pip, the best way to contact you is
probably by email. So that's pip@pipfoulshamhr.co.uk, but you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn.
And this will be on Facebook and LinkedIn,
yeah,
as well.
And my name's hard to spell, so probably easier to find me on there. And address.
And if anyone would like to attend one of these fabulous meetings that Pip talked about so eloquently, then you can just contact me. We are still accepting visitors at our meetings. There is an offer for people who visit and would like to come back and join us on your membership and on your length of membership, actually. And of course, you get access to all the national meetings for free, where you're not locked out while we're still in lockout. Well, actually, more precisely, while our meetings are still operating online, because obviously the situation with our venues at the moment might mean that it could be longer after lockdown finishes that we're able to be back in person with social distancing. So do come along and visit us and check it all out. We've got Cappuccino Connections events as well, which is coffee morning format. So brilliant way to widen your network, get the word out about your business, stay supported, stay visible, and meet some great people, to be frank, because we do have a laugh, don't we?
We do, and we're a lovely group, so come along.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Pip.
Thank you.